I like being the conduit for them to connect with each other and to feel less alone in their pursuits of bigness. And, when you get to a certain level, I feel like a lot of people in your offline life stop understanding what it takes or who you've become, the standards you hold for your life, the boundaries you hold, the money you make, the things you invest in. Like, people will have all the judgments.
Yes.
And I love creating spaces and places for people who want to be in their bigness and want to celebrate that and connect with other women who match their future.
How are entrepreneurs like us daring bravely to build a stage, ditch the sweatpants, and step up to the mic? How do we create our own transformative events so we can get our message out into the world in a bigger way that's not only profitable, but it's actually something we can be proud of? That's the question. And the answers are inside this podcast. My name is Sarah Pfeiffer. Welcome to Green Room Central. Today I brought into Green Room Central Studios Jill Stanton, founder of the Millionaire Girls Club, a global network of powerful female entrepreneurs who value connections with depth, white-hot ideas, luxurious experiences, and want to indulge in the fun side of success. We're definitely talking my language here, and I am especially stoked that we're both moms, we're both lifelong learners, and have a shared love of travel, my favorite. Jill, welcome to Green Room Central Studios. Say hello to Lynchpin Nation.
What's up, guys? I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So excited. So, Jill, this podcast is built on the belief that being in the room is everything. And as a little backstory for you, just over 6 years ago, I got into a room that changed the entire course of my life. Within 11 months of me getting into my first 4-day personal development seminar, I had left a 16-year corporate career. I'd sold our home. I'd paid off all of our debt that we'd been under for like a decade and a half. I'd moved my family across the country, started my own business. I mean, just like massive
Is that
shifts.
In only 11 months.
And all that to say, to start us off today, I would love it if you would share a story of a room that changed your life.
That one's easy. It's Tropical Think Tank back in 2014. So that was a event that Chris Ducker was hosting when he lived in the Philippines. And Josh and I, my husband and I, were living in Chiang Mai, Thailand at that time. We had just gotten married, just started our second business together, which was Screw the 9 to 5. And we were in Malaysia, actually. And Josh randomly went on Twitter. Like, we both didn't use Twitter at that time. He randomly went onto Twitter and started following Ducker out of nowhere. Just like, it was like so serendipitous, and saw that he was launching this event. And it was, at the time, for us, like a decent amount of money. It was like $3,000 a person, right? And so it was $6,000 for us to attend, plus flights, plus blah, blah, blah. But that one room was huge for us because, one, we got to meet growth-minded entrepreneurs. At the time, we were in Chiang Mai, Thailand, which was like, it's beautiful, and it was like a digital nomad hotspot, and it was fantastic, and we met our people, but it was also very like slow-paced, very peaceful, very cheap to get by. You didn't have to earn a lot of money. And so we met some amazing people, and we wanted more. We wanted people playing at like a whole other level. And Ducker was bringing in Amy Porterfield, John Lee Dumas, Pat Flynn, Greg Hickman, Caleb Wojciech. Who else at the time? Natalie Sisson, and then Ducker. And maybe I'm forgetting someone else. Either way, that room was huge for us because that was when we met John, JLD. And him and his now wife, Kate, are like, we've been friends for 10 plus years. We've done so many life things together. We've traveled together. We are growing families, not together, but like alongside each other.
Yeah.
We're not sister wives or anything yet. We've
but you're
collabed.
Close.
Yeah. We've collabed together. We've done promos together. Like, we've been in each other's lives through like some really pivotal moments. It's also where I met Amy Porterfield, who's been a friend of mine for 10 years now, speaking at my event next year. Like, it's been such a pivotal, that was truly, truly a room that changed the game for us, like, or at least knocked over a domino for us. I would say it's like, it was a
And
domino knocker over for us.
and was it the first time you'd had exposure to so many people that were like-minded in the sense of growth and expansion and
It was the
entrepreneurship?
first time that I had been in a room with people playing a whole other level. Like, I was around growth minded people because we lived in a digital nomad hotspot. Like, everyone there was pretty much entrepreneurs. So just by, choice of life path, those people are growth minded. But that was my first time where I was around people making like millions of dollars, or, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, versus like a lot of the people I was around at that time were working towards their first 100 grand. So were we at the time, and so it was my first introduction into like entrepreneurs who were just a bit further along in their journey.
So, as I was prepping for our conversation, I listened to your Millionaire Girls Club podcast episode, the one where you and your husband Josh were talking about your most recent ayahuasca ceremony. And first, it sounds absolutely amazing. And I totally want to do that. It's interesting. I feel like that's the second time that specific plant medicine has come up
Oh, she's
in the
calling you.
last month for me. I feel like that's just weird. And second, I found it really interesting when you shared that what came up for you during that ceremony, which was designing amazing experiences for people is your gift, and it's not something to shy away from. And I want you to tell me more about that. And also, like, when did you first notice your gift and your calling, and how are you leaning more into that now inside the Millionaire Girls Club?
Well, I actually noticed it back in my 20s. Like, I used to always host dinner parties. I would bring my friends together.
Yeah.
I always wanted to like have a cute vibe and a cute aesthetic and candles, and
Yes.
like that stuff always mattered to me. I think with ayahuasca, it really clicked for me. Like, my attention to detail and my love of aesthetics is actually really useful in this business
Yeah.
model. Like, was it that useful in Screw the 9 to 5? I don't know. Like, I wasn't really doing luxury retreats. Like, we were running
Yes.
bigger events. Like, it was a volume game for us. And it was more of an impact game for us. Now it's like a close-knit, intimate, high-end focus. And so, yeah, my love of aesthetics and like details and just the nuances of what happens when you bring people together offline and create like a premium experience, like that stuff really matters to me. And I used to kind of like, I don't know, people would just be like, oh, Jill always like, she wants to control everything, or she wants to like control the details or move things around, or like the lighting needs to be perfect. And I'd be like, oh, don't make fun of me. Like, I almost like took it as a slight, but then it came up in ayahuasca for like, no, that's what makes your experiences good. Now, with that being said, I very much had an experience earlier this year that taught me all the things that I needed to learn in order to make my events better. Like, I had an experience at my St. Lucia retreat where it just was not what I wanted it to be. It was not the level or the caliber or the experience that I had envisioned. And that gave me like a ton of contrast and a lot of lessons to figure out, well, what do I want then? Like, how do I run events? Like, what matters to me, and what are the details I want to focus on, and where can I stop abdicating like decision-making power to event planners or whatnot? And so it really helped me hone my vision and the structure of my retreats and how I lead them. Like, I really didn't think I've had a lot of big shit this year. Truthfully, 2023 was the year I never saw coming for my own like leadership and vision and all of that. Like, I've become a better leader of myself, of my vision, of my family, of my clients, of my business, of my journey. Like, there's so many other things that I've honed this year because of things not going according to plan that I really think will set me up for like big advancements and moves. in 2024 and beyond, and like how I grow this network, because it's very different to the business I used to grow, which was Screw the 9 to 5, which was volume and traffic and funnels and podcasts and social media and email lists and all
Right.
the things, like all the things you're quote unquote supposed to do. And so then to turn off that side of my brain and be like, well, wait a second, I'm no longer in a volume game. I'm in a like relationship game and
Yes.
experiences and events, and like, I don't know, it's just different. So it's been a learning edge for me, but one that I'm like super pumped about now. Now that I've found like my feet and I've got a bit more awareness around it. It was challenging to begin with though.
Yeah, but I'm sensing that the playing of the new game that's more intimacy and relationship based is almost something that you've been built for your entire life and called to do.
Yeah, I feel like it's, I mean, even in my human design, I'm a 4 line, I'm a manifestor, one, two, a 1 4, and I'm quad right, which if you know human design, it's like someone who's highly receptive. Like I can read the energy of a room. Like I can see if people aren't vibing, or if like I need to move people to
Mm.
different seats, or I can see if the energy's dipped, or if
Oh,
like
I love that.
how someone might be perceiving a certain session, or
Yes.
at my St. Lucia retreat, I fucking knew this one chick was off, and I approached her about it. I was like, what's going on, what's wrong? And she's like, no, it's nothing. I was like, I know something's up. So just tell me what it is.
Still,
Like,
yeah.
I know it, so just tell me what it is so I can solve it. And so that's been really useful in this journey. And then yes, you're right, I was also a bartender for 10 years, so I've got the gift of the gab. I know how to carry a conversation. Plus, I'm a 4 line in HD, so I'm a relationship builder. I'm a connector. I create opportunities through my network, for myself and for my clients, for my community, like all of that, for the people who are in my life. And so I'm just learning to hone that skill and strength for myself, because I also have a lot of, pre-existing experiences with women that kind of maybe like, I don't know, a bit gun shy to actually like really embrace that side of me and like
Mm,
step into that power that I have.
right.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about details because that's one of my favorite
Mm.
words and favorite parts of events. I've been producing events for over 20 years, and I know the details matter, and both in the sense of paying attention to the details while planning events because it prevents problems before they become problems, but also like little things like you were mentioning, like candlelight and the music selections, or even the volume of
Mm.
music, and or the style of floral arrangements. I believe guests notice that stuff, and it all
I
adds
agree.
up to that total experience. And I also find that everyone who's really passionate about events has a few specific details that matter to them more than others. I have a lot, just because I'm so passionate about events, like location and food and flowers. But I would love to hear, what details do you value spending your time and attention on as you create experiences for guests?
So I now have this awareness because I missed the mark on this in my St. Lucia retreat. And I feel like, well, no, I know I abdicated a lot of decisions around that to my planner,
Mm,
which is
mm,
fine, I guess. I probably had to learn that lesson. But she's great. I mean, my planner is great, and she was definitely the ace up my sleeve. And I came out of that experience with like even more attention to detail. Like now, when her and I met up
mm.
to plan my Mexico experience, like she probably never saw it coming, how I was coming to that. I was like, hey, Christy, okay, so here's my mood board. Here's what I want the food to look like. Here's the scent I want upon arrival. Here's the lighting. Here's the flowers. Here's the blah, blah, blah. Like I just went off the fucking deep end because I had an experience where nothing really went my way in
Yeah.
like the details, like they drove me crazy in St. Lucia because they were so out of my control, which really forced me to make some great decisions, which was moving away from hotels, moving away from
Mm,
resorts where I actually don't have control over their lighting
mm.
or their sound choices or their table arrangements or anything like that. Like their
Yeah.
rooms, the
Yeah.
caliber of things, how they maintain the like grounds, like none of that was in my control, which was very frustrating for me in St. Lucia. So the decision I made with that piece of experience was, okay, I'm moving away from resorts. When I get to a place where I will do like a boutique resort buyout, that's a different story. Because then I can come in with all my like, I don't want to say demands, but preferences. But demands. So for the next few retreats, I'm renting mansions because I can control everything in that. And so, I said to my planner, don't hit me with floral bouquets that are like fucking birds of paradise and any of those, flowers that are like long and stiff and bleh.
Yeah.
I want like lush and tropical and peach and peonies and, I want like glam,
organic.
lush.
I don't want it to be so.
Yes. I want it. Lush is the best word. Like lush and glam and tropical. Like I want color and I want fullness and, volume, volume of lushness, which sounds ridiculous.
I love your specificity here.
But it matters to me. Like I went into, so my poor planner, because I was like, hear me when I say this. When people arrive, I want coconut lime scented diffusers. Like it's just, and she's like, okay, great. And I was like, no. I want coconut lime diffusers. Do you like, I'm serious about that. I need that scent when they arrive. And I want cold towels and they need to be scented with this like frangipani scent. Or I want like this chilled tea. Like I'm getting a custom tea made, which is very tropical and fruity and light. And, I want that in these kind of glasses. And so I've just been like, in my head being like, what would I want that arrival experience to look like? Then once they've walked in the door, what do their rooms look like? Like how are they greeted? What does the soiree, like the welcome dinner look like? And what is that menu? And what's the lighting that goes with that? And what is the, so it's been really fun this time around because I've stopped abdicating that for myself, which I don't actually know why I did that. Probably like, I don't know, not wanting to seem demanding or rude or high maintenance or whatever it was. And now I'm like, what am I talking about? I'm the visionary for the event that I'm running. Of course I need to have a hand in how it looks, what the flow of it is, what the experience is, how the women are received, like all of that. And so when you were saying location, that's now a new level of detail. So my current level of details, as of now, at least, I'm sure I'll continue to add more. But my level of details currently are views. So important to me. Like views, everything is based around
Could
views,
not
right?
agree more.
Really,
you can bring
really
in all sorts of like you can bring in flowers, you can bring in furniture, you can bring all the things, but you cannot change
if
the
you're
view.
staring at a cement wall beside you, you're just no amount of florals or lighting is going to fix that. So view, lighting. Like I love a good colored light setup, like hot pink and purple or red and purple, something like that. Flowers, music, scents, and food. And also I would say the biggest attention to detail is like who's in the room or who's at the table. Like especially where I'm going like that. I'm about to, I am running a high-end private network. Like that matters. That trumps everything. Like who's in the room. That step number 1.
Yeah.
Who's in the room? Step 2. What does the room look like? 3.
Yeah.
What does the room smell like? Like, I don't know if anyone else goes into this, but I do. And it matters to me. So like, just decor and vibe and aesthetics and scents and sounds and lighting and it all.
But I think in
together.
order to curate that experience for your guests, you need to be at your highest and best energy, and it's like you're going to be a little off if you're not paying attention to those details, and like you're going to be in what is it? You're not just honoring who you are, and you're like you'll sense that, and it won't like your guests will. It's like a horse smells fear or whatever they say. It's like your guests will sense that too, that you're a little off. So I love that you're honoring that you have preferences.
And I feel like my guests in my St. Lucia retreat most certainly could feel that I was off. That's why I think it was like my biggest training ground for like, oh, Jill, you're running an events company now. You're no longer run a coaching brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's different.
Mm.
Your energy deeply matters to the experience. And like I was
Yeah.
just not my best self on
Yeah.
my second retreat that I ran, which I get also like from a like give yourself a fucking break, Jill. It was your second retreat, but also
Right.
like I want to always continuously raise the bar for my experiences. I want to be different than what is out there. And you know, like I think a lot of masterminds, well, first, my stuff isn't a mastermind. So clearly that's a like delineating factor. But also for a lot of masterminds, it's like, I don't know, like basic ass lunches. You know, or like,
Yes.
oh, there's coffee, tea, and water.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, great. Coffee, tea, and
Right.
water. How exciting. You know, like I just want to be different. I want to everything I want.
Yeah.
I will not be for everybody. My stuff will not be for
Absolutely.
everybody, but for the people that it is for, they'll really get it and they'll appreciate the aesthetics and the experiences. Like not everyone wants to travel internationally, but for the people who do and like who seek that level of like lavishness,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they'll want to be a part of it. Some people like windowless conference rooms for some dumb reason. I don't know why. That is not my stuff. Some people like box lunches and coffee, tea, water stands. That is not my stuff. So
I feel chest tightening already. Just hearing those words.
like outdated flooring, no, I'm not doing it. Windowless conference rooms, meeting rooms, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, no, I was just, yeah, I get it. The cool thing is you have, you've done the work clearly, and the personal development space and like all of these learnings are really teaching you exactly what you don't want so that you can refine what you do want. And like that I think there's so many people in this space that kind of panic and feel the sense of failure and the imposter syndrome and like don't press forward, and you're clearly not that. I wonder, this really high level of preferences and attention to detail, I'm madly in love with that. I'm wondering, is there a tie to caring for others for you? Is that part of why you do that?
I've never even thought of it through that lens, but I love that because I've always been a nurturer. And this is just, I guess, another way that I choose to love on people. Is like, for example, one of my St. Lucia things, again with the details, was I wanted to get everyone their own floaty that I thought of them and their spirit and then picked a floaty for them, you know? So like
Oh my gosh,
there was
that's so great.
like my client Tina, who's like a walking, talking rainbow. So I got her a giant rainbow. Or you know, I had a client, Jen, who's like loves money and is very sassy. So I got her like a stack of cash floaty, you know, or Bridget, who had just gotten married. So I got her a giant diamond ring floaty, you know, like there's just so that level of attention to detail. But also in my eyes, it's like also how I love on people. It's like, here's your essence in a floaty.
Yes. Yes.
So I think it's how I love on people as well. And like how I show them that I care and that I'm paying attention. And then also like truly like one of my edges is continuing to refine who's in the room. I think that was a big lesson for me this year as well. Is like saying yes out of just not wanting to feel bad or wanting to feel mean for saying no.
Right.
But it is absolutely my job to say no to people who might be misaligned.
Yes. Yeah. Because it's a disservice to everybody else in the room. Yeah. I think people, in this sense, it's not a filling the room issue. It's a not wanting to feel bad issue.
Yeah.
Because I imagine there's so many people so many women who feel called to be a part of this club because of the exclusivity, because of the curated experiences, because of who's in the room. And I get it would feel bad to turn people away, but you're doing just such a service to everyone else, right? By curating who's in the room. I think the cool thing is this there's all these lessons, it sounds like, that you had over the past year, is, clearly defining what you do want going forward. But also it's helping you build like a machine that's scalable, right? Like where you're like, every time we do have to pay attention to the scent, and every time we do
Mhm.
have to pay attention to the view, and not like we're, you're building a thing that's the same every time, but
Mm.
you're building a thing that is like a repeatable experience that has the values that you want to impart
Yeah, like there's
as to your
pillars that will
guests.
always be
Mm,
the same, I
mm-hmm.
guess, right? Like that is my
Yeah.
like systematizable piece of it, but I just don't
Yeah.
know how you make events systematized. I mean, not I haven't found it yet. There's a couple things I know is like the flowers will always feel like blah blah blah, or there will always
Right.
be this kind of caliber of gifts, or like I'm
Yeah,
always going to have a
exactly.
boat day. Like I
Yeah.
love having boat trips in events for some reason, because people you get a different view and everyone's in a good mood and you're on the water and it's beautiful, and like all of that. So there's things that will always be systematized, but yeah, I struggle. I also don't think in systems. I really do
Mm.
not think in systems. Like that is not my strength.
That's how my brain works.
That's
I instantly go
exact
to like,
opposite of my
okay,
brain.
how would we repeat this level of experience? Obviously, it's not like a repeat in terms of like a stamp, but I have someone who's like, they just forgot that they preferred a U shape for their mastermind. And somehow along the way, over the years, like maybe a room didn't fit it right. So they just did classroom, and then they just kept doing classroom. And then they had this realization one day, oh my gosh, like, actually that's a preference. Like I
Mm,
always, we're just going to go find a different place. Like if
yeah.
it can't fit this, and we can't all look each other in the eye while we're having these deep, meaningful conversations, then it's not for us. And we don't have to put ourselves in that box. Like go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I do think there are pieces that allow us to, because I do feel like events should happen with ease, and it's, and that
Mm,
it's a big gift, and that you're giving your guests, but also a huge effort. And it's nice when make it somewhat systematized so it can happen over and over again with ease,
yeah.
and also be exceptional.
Mm,
I heard you mention that you want to host family retreats,
mhm.
and family is one of my highest values. So it really caught my attention when you set the intention to include family retreats as part of your offerings. And I just would love to know, why is that so important to you?
I just think, I mean, Josh and I would love to attend something like that with other
Mm,
expanders who are raising their kids
mm,
with similar
mm-hmm,
values. Like,
mm-hmm.
I just want to be a part of that. And I don't
Yeah,
know any. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to do it then. I
I
just,
love it.
I also don't want to just be at any old family event. Like, I don't want to be around
Mm,
normies. And so
yep.
I want to be with high caliber entrepreneurs. And I just currently don't know of any events that cater to all families. And so I thought
Right.
both him and I thought it would be so rad to have family experiences
Mm-hmm.
where you can have like couples only things. So we'll have like a team of babysitters there who can like entertain the kids and like do events and stuff with them. But we'll have couples only things. Then we'll have family inclusive things. Then we're going to have like kid entrepreneurial challenges. And like, it'll just be such a
Yes.
cool thing. Like they're growing up in a family of entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
spark that. I want to see a whole
Yes.
new generation become entrepreneurs. I sure as shit don't
Yes.
think that spirit should be dying out with the way the world's going. Like we need more entrepreneurs,
Right.
just like we need
We
more strong
do.
men. Like we need people with strong values and strong masculine and strong feminine and strong family values and like entrepreneurial spirits and problem solvers and visionaries, and like we need
Mm.
that. And
Yes.
like the worst thing that could happen is a dying off of entrepreneurial spirit. And so we just want to do anything that fosters and like creates space for families who want to encourage their kids to think different, think outside the
Mm.
box, not, you know, go slowly into a life of the normies. Like I just don't want that whatsoever. And so anything I can do to support that and create rad experiences. Now, with that being said, I was going to do it for next year. And I realized like one of my traits or habits, or just maybe just from being lazy and thinking that more results come from doing more, as one thing I realized for myself for 2024 is like simplify to amplify. And so I decided to actually not do MGC families for 2024, to single focus on the club, because the club is how I'm going to fill MGC families. I currently do not have the volume necessary to fill a family retreat. I'm 1 year into this business properly, right? Like I only went all in on it in fucking April 2023. And so, I need time to ramp that up and get my volume game going. And then I'm going to branch off into do MGC families. I'm going to have plant medicine retreats called Euphoria, and just different style of experiences for those who are looking for it. I'm also going to, I think another thing that's been big for me is like really allowing myself to set the pace or the vision for what my company facilitates, because it's real easy to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. Like I've had a bunch of people, it's December. People are trying to figure out what they're going to join for next year. And I've had a lot of people be like, oh, I just don't want to do like offline stuff. I want to do virtual stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I guess I could do. And then I was like, no, what do I want to do? What do I want to facilitate? What do I want to pour into? And that's offline events. I think that's different. Not a lot of people are, there are big events, of course, and there are people running more and more events, and there are more 7-figure groups coming out, that are prioritizing events. But what I want to do is like, I want to get to a place where my quote unquote scale option is all offline. Like it's dinner parties. And that is my biggest like volume play. And then as people go up into different tiers is when they unlock different experiences. But my like dinner parties tier is volume, and it's in local hubs. But it's for people who value offline. They don't want to just sit behind a computer and be like, oh, I don't really like seeing people in person. I'm like, cool. There's tons of other things for you then.
Yes.
That is not what we're doing here. And so that has been a big piece of awareness for me. Is like build what I want to build, not what like for people who, are scared to take things offline. I'm like, that's just not my people. There's tons of virtual masterminds. Have at them. Go crazy. There's tons of them. But if you want like high caliber experiences and entrepreneurs and the right rooms, then that's who I serve.
Does the desire to be serving this community in this way, is this really you stepping into a void that you feel like is just not being served, like that you wish that you had?
Well, that was where I initially had the idea. It took me 2 years to even like hit go on this. Like I had a lot of stuff to get out of my own way. And I had Screw the 9 to 5, which was really rocking and rolling at the time that I had the idea for MGC. So the what's the word I'm looking for? Like really wrestling with like, am I going to leave Screw the 9 to 5 to start my own thing? Like that took me a while to get on board with. And then even in 2022, I was like, yeah, it's good, but I have Screw the 9 to 5. Like it was very much a safety blanket for me. And this year was my first year of being like, no, I'm all in on MGC. I'm going to grow this company. And so I want to build what I wish existed in a way that I would want to participate. Does that make sense? Like, I don't see a lot of groups for 7-figure entrepreneurs, women, like caveat, female entrepreneurs, or excuse me, female 7-figure entrepreneurs that have a focus on the fun side of success, luxury, and like strong ass curation. I see a lot of groups and masterminds, but they are operating with U formations in meeting rooms and like basic ass experiences. There's tons of those, lots of them. I want nothing to do with that kind of shit. I want people who don't take themselves so seriously. I want people who want to let loose a little. I want people who want to mastermind on yachts versus in a meeting room. I want to have private chefs versus boxed lunches. Like I
Yes.
want to create shit that is different to what other people are doing, because the barrier to entry of like that level of events is, you need the right places, the right people on your team. Like there's certain obstacles that you have to overcome in order to throw what I want to throw. Now, not everyone's going to vibe with my stuff.
Yeah.
Not everyone's like, oh, 15 grand for a 5-day retreat, count me in. Like a lot of people are like, I don't know, a 2-day thing in a co-working space feels like what I need right now. And I'm like, great, love that for you. That's not what I'm doing though. It's just,
you're creating something that it's impossible to buy elsewhere.
oh, I like
Like
that.
it's impossible for them to go create it themselves.
Well,
because they
it's
wouldn't.
possible. It's just, it's always going to be different. Like my style is always like, I don't serve people who take themselves too seriously. Like that's, they will not like my spaces because I don't take myself too seriously. And I want, like a lot of my chicks come to get, we vibe out, we have great sessions, and people like getting politely fucked up, like
Yes.
it is a mix of it all. Some people don't drink, some people do, some people don't want to dance, some people do. Like I want the chicks who don't take themselves too seriously and want to embrace the fun side of success and see what they've built and honor that and be in their bigness and like ball out in luxury things like yachts and helicopters and private chefs and mansions. Like I want the bougie fun side of it. I don't want the same old cookie cutter shit that everyone does just because it's easier that way. I won't do it. So yeah, anyone who wants that is just not going to find their way into my stuff because I'm very strongly opinionated about it.
But I love that you have such an intention and such a clear vision too.
Thank you.
And I think that, I think I'm sensing repeat business because
I am fortunate that I have people who have come to every single retreat. Like I'm really lucky in that regard, is that like, and that's my intention. My intention is to build the club. Like I'm not doing a volume play. I want to get it to 100 max, like absolute max. Very hard to get into, ultra exclusive. People who are in it would never want to leave. People who aren't in it but are on the wait list would do anything to be a part of it. Like I want it to be, IYKYK. If you know, you know, and like if you're in, you're in. Like you don't want to leave. I don't want people who just like hop to different groups. Like if that's, I get it. Like I've been that person myself. And for where I'm going and what I'm building, I want people who value long-term communities.
Mm-hmm.
I also think from an event facilitation piece, like knowing like having history with your people is so powerful because you know what they like at events.
Yes.
Like how they like to show up, their preferences, their, allergies, their food intolerances, whether they drink or not. Like if they need downtime, if they like space, like you get to know their preferences and you can design things that they feel very seen in, very supported with. I like that piece. Like I want to get to know people at a deep level so that I can create stuff that takes their breath away.
I almost feel like this download, like we need to get you in touch with a concierge at like the most luxe hotel and figure out how they track people's preferences and how they serve people at that, like their repeat guests at that like extra touch, like luxe level. I'm sensing that you want to care for your club members
for
at
sure.
That level.
And I mean, we start to track that because I do intakes for all of my events. So I can see like, what do you like? What do you don't like? What size of clothes do you wear? What are your intolerances? Where do you live? What's your birthday? What's your, what is your human design? I know that, probably to most people that would sound like a ridiculous one to get, but I know that if you are a manifestor versus a projector, you're going to show up different. Or if you're a generator versus a projector, you're going to show up different. That is very useful for me to know because I can, one, tailor my communication to your different design. And two, I know what to expect of like how you like to interact with people. And so it's just, useful. So we're building out that like kind of like, I don't know, almost like a black book of client
Right.
preferences
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
just like our ability to surprise and delight people and make them see. Like, I mean, my floaties idea was kind of in that direction. Is like, I got you a floaty that that
Yeah.
like displays your essence in my eyes, if that makes sense. And so just little things like that, like details matter to me in that respect as well.
Well, yeah, I could just sense that you are a type of person who really wants to make sure that people feel seen and heard and celebrated,
Very
and
much so.
your experiences are an extension of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've never had someone say that way, and it very much lands with me because I very much do want that for people.
Yeah. So you've told me a little bit about where what your vision is for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Paint the vision for where you're going beyond that.
Well, my vision for 2024 is kind of like streamlining and simplifying and bringing in a level of elegance and like casual glam, if that makes sense, to what I do, and like really defining and refining who I'm for and what I offer. Or no, my newest shift, thanks to my girlfriend Tracy, is like detaching from me being the company. So not what I do, what the company does, how the company loves on people.
Yes.
And but where I really want to go is like what I said to you, 100 people in the club, waitlisted, hard to get into, ultra exclusive. And it just carries a level of reputation that is, people know what to expect. You know, if you're going to attend an MGC event, you know, it's going to be lavish. You know that it's going to be highly curated. You know that those women are kind, generous, emotionally intelligent. They're not gossiping. They're not passive aggressive. They're not judging or policing what you say or how you act or any of that kind of shit. I have zero tolerance for the policing of people's behavior or what they say or their values or their perspectives. I fucking hate that stuff. So I like, yeah, I think that's also like a thing too that I've had to navigate for myself, really, is allowing myself to be okay with the fact that I am not for everyone. Or again, the company is not for everyone.
But I loved your intention for 2024 in that kind of defining what the company is and stands for even more. I like to say that an event, an experience is a live embodiment of the brand.
Oh,
And
I love that.
so the more clear your clarity finding mission in 2024 is going to just enhance the events even more, because you'll just have more clarity on like what MGC stands for. And I don't know, the scent thing is on my mind. I love that detail, and I'm thinking of, do you know Chip and Joanna Gaines? Yeah. So
but not
I was
like
watching,
because I live in Asia, so I don't ever see their stuff.
but I was watching, I don't know them personally, but I was watching their hotel experience. They just renovated a hotel, and there's a show on their network about what it took to build that experience and kind of create the hotel that felt like welcoming people into their home. And there is a part of one of the episodes on defining the custom scent for the hotel, and then turning that into candles that people can take home. It would be so cool.
That's a whole other level to something I hadn't even thought of, as like the
that
scent
could be a
of
gift.
the event. The event.
The scent of
the
MGC.
event.
Well, but it could be the scent of the club, and it's like one that carries with you. I don't know if that would translate across.
That makes me also want to get into like perfume. I mean, like there's a whole other side to MGC where I think it has, my intention is to partner with brands to lavish cool shit onto my members as well. Yeah. So luxury hotel chains or semi-private jet charters, like to get them certain rates, or private chef services, or jewelry companies, people who want to get in front of women who have high purchasing power. I just think there's a whole other level that I haven't even explored yet, which is also creating perks that are just for MGC members that I don't know, it'd be really cool to have like a card. And if you show the card, it's like, showing your like black card, but it's gold or some
Yes.
shit. I don't know. Something like
Yes.
that.
Oh,
You say a code
such a
word.
visionary.
That'd be even cooler. The code word at the semi-private jet charter company is rich as fuck.
I'm laughing because I had I won't say the name, but you would know who it is. I hired this person to come and present at an event that I produced, and in the contract, there was a line item that like we must pay for this person's private jet fuel, and it just put a smile on my face, and I put that as my password for the video of that event, and some of the documents we were working on. It just made me laugh. But I think that level of, I mean, that's creating a network that nobody wants to leave, right? When there's perks that are only available inside that you can't get elsewhere, and they're not going to leave.
Oh, that's the goal.
Jill, before we wrap up here, I have a few rapid fire questions for you.
All right, let me take a sip of water so I don't mess with it.
What I want to know is, what is your favorite moment at events you host?
Oh, man. I would say probably the last day, because everyone's been bonded and cracked open, and you've just vibed out with each other for 5 straight days. So like the final party is typically my favorite moment. I don't think in a lot of my experiences, the final night has always been like one of those things that just becomes one of those like core memories. Right. I remember on my first ever retreat, the final night was like, I never saw it coming. We were at a private dinner on our own little private beach, and 2 of my clients or attendees got up, and like I had very chill music playing, noted about the music piece, because I had like Nora Jones playing on repeat, or like maybe not even Nora, it was like Corinne Bailey Rae or some shit, like so chill. And like in my head, I was like, this is lovely dinner party music. These 2 chicks went up and asked the DJ to play WAP by Cardi B and started karaokeing it. And that broke open our dinner. And I was like, noted. People want to have fun on last night. And so like, and then it turned into this big ass dance party. And like everyone was so bummed when we had to leave. And I love the idea of like leaving on a high. So the final night is now my new favorite. Like I pour into that. And I guess I do like the first impression moments, but those can be hard to control, because if, especially in my St. Lucia one, like St. Lucia's a bitch to get around, it turns out. So note to self. And I had arranged for helicopters to pick everyone up for the airport, because outside of that, it's like a 90-minute drive up and down a mountain, and it is so like twisty and turny. Yeah. They canceled my helicopters 2 days before, and so many of my chicks rocked up like motion sickness and tired and headaches, and it was just awful. Like the worst way to start an event. And that was like a sign of what was about to happen with my retreat. But like now knowing that, I will forever really take like first impressions quite seriously, of like, what is their experience literally from the moment they step off the plane. Like, how can I make that as like seamless and short and not twisty and turny as humanly possible? Like, how can I get there? How can I get them there in a way that ticks all the boxes for them?
That's so interesting you say that, because I've been feeling like I've been having a download lately this week, in fact, that I need to do an episode on the bookends. Like, it's just so important, the first and the last impression. And it's because I've been doing a lot of yoga lately, and the arrival, like how they have you kind of be chill and like get present and arrive, and then they do kind of a similar thing at the end. And that's just like in an event where those bookends matter.
It's so true, man. In such a big way.
What's the best thing that, like, for you about hosting events that this is why you keep doing them?
connection is like one of my
Mm.
highest personal values.
Yeah.
I just love being around expanders. Like I love being I like being the conduit for them to connect with each other and to feel less alone in their pursuits of bigness. And, when you get to a certain level, I feel like a lot of people in your offline life stop understanding what it takes or who you've become, the standards you hold for your life, the boundaries you hold, the money you make, the things you invest in. Like people have all the judgments.
Yes.
And I love creating spaces and places for people who want to be in their bigness and want to celebrate that and connect with other women who match their future. I just love it. Like I remember one of the moments this really sunk in for me was in Costa Rica, our Costa Rica retreat, which was our first ever one. And we were on a yacht, Avi, and it was sunset. And there was a conversation happening at the front of the boat, like on the netting. And one of our clients, Liz, has a big physical product business. And she had sold a good portion of it to private equity and hired a CEO. And she like has this beautiful setup to her business. And now they're building to like do another exit. And there was just so many cool conversations. And then my other client, Caitlin, who's a wealth manager and private exit strategist. And then another business owner there, Tina, who had sold a business before, and then two other chicks who were building their business to sell for 300 mil plus. Like the conversations that were happening around like deal flow and deal lawyers and EBITDA and exits and private equity and all of this kind of stuff. And I looked around and it's like, we're sailing through islands. It's on a yacht. It's at sunset, which was like so beautifully lit up. And I looked around and I was like, this conversation never happens just for women. It's normally at an event with a whole bunch of dudes. And if there are women, they're like, what did he say? Like we are not at the forefront of that conversation for the most part. And it like clicked for me. Then I was like, oh my God, this is our place to have these kind of caliber of conversations that is just for women. No gatekeeping, no dude energy. It's just like done from a place of generosity and connection. And that was when I was like, I think this is my path. Because before that I went in there being like, I don't know, like I've got such a good thing with Screw and blah, blah, blah. But I realized like, if I can create experiences for these kind of women to come and share this kind of knowledge, it's game changing for women. Truly. It's like life altering.
I also hope in that moment that you were like, I did this. Like I made this happen and integrated that win, because that sounds like pure magic right there. That is kind of a moment that I love during events, when you look around and you see what you've created. And
I'm going to be much more present for that in Mexico,
because it's like lightning has struck, but you did it. Like it was your hand that made it happen.
I love that. I'm going to consciously like take that in now. I feel like I've had quite a challenge to be present in running my own events, to be like, look at this, because I'm always like, what's happening with the food? What's happening with this person looks lonely. I should connect them with you. Like I'm always just
like a mother hen. Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to know, what are you reading right now?
Oh, great question. The Elon Musk biography by Walter Isaacson. Cannot put it down. It is so freaking good. And then I just cracked open Same as Ever by Morgan Housel. He's the dude who wrote Psychology of Money, and Same as Ever is his new book.
Oh, I just a few months ago read The Psychology of Money. Loved it.
Oh, it's loved it. It's so good.
Like one of my top referring money books I refer out to people now.
Right? It's so freaking good.
I didn't know we had a new one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same as Ever. And then the
Jill,
Elon Musk book. I mean, it's huge, but it's so good. It's so good. I'm just like, please never die, Elon. You are literally such an advancer of progress. Yeah. Please stay around for forever.
Yeah. Talk about expanders.
For real.
Jill, what have you got going on right now that we should know about, and where can Linchpin Nation find you?
Well, the easiest way to connect with me is on IG. So at
Okay.
the Millionaire Girls Club. And then what I have going on is just truly like pouring into the club, which is my private high-end private network for women who make millions, really honing that, refining that, curating that, and creating epic experiences that just leave a mark on your heart. And so that is my true focus for 2024. And then becoming the version of myself who leads that. I think that's always at the forefront of my own expansion. It's like who I need to become, who I get to become.
Yes. New identity. Let's go.
Always.
Jill, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. This is so good.
Thank you for listening to the Green Room Central podcast. If you loved this episode, then please take a screenshot on your phone and post it to Instagram, and be sure to tag at Sarah Pfeiffer and let me know why you liked it and what you'd like to hear, or who you'd like to hear from in the future. That'll help me know what to create for you. Also, if scaling events in your business sounds like something you want to tackle this year and you need a coach, let's connect to see if one-on-one coaching is for you. Just go to greenroomcentral.com. You and I can work together one-on-one throughout the course of the year and dive deep into the inner workings of your events and business. You'll receive mentorship, personalized feedback, and customized guidance to define your goals and achieve your next level of success. Just go to greenroomcentral.com right now to apply. I appreciate your commitment to leveling up and learning the mindset and strategy of live events. Keep going. Keep learning. If you want more, head over to greenroomcentral.com for show notes and all the links from today's episode.